You put me here on this platform to tell the truth. Speak to me when I be speaking to the youth.
There are 7.99 billion people in the world right now. And for each person, 96% of their efforts towards personal development fail because they never created a habit to work towards their mindset. And a habit becomes easier if you make it easier to access. So by hitting the subscribe button, you'll not only be creating a habit to think better, perform on a higher level, and be more confident, it'll also mean the world to me by helping us make more valuable and life-changing content for the world. Hit the subscribe button. My man Musa, I just want to say I appreciate you coming on the show, man. I really do.
No. Oh, no, I appreciate you for inviting me, my friend.
I'm grateful for it. You flew all the way from Charlotte, man. Charlotte, right?
Yeah, Charlotte, North Carolina.
How was the flight?
It was all right. I mean, a little 1.5 hours. Not too bad.
Whew. Just want to start the intro again. I just want to say I appreciate you, man. Definitely.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Appreciate you for inviting me. This is long overdue. Way long overdue.
We've been waiting. We extended it out like another, 1-2 weeks?
Yeah, something like that. But we're here now. That's all that matters.
Definitely. Now, you said something on the car right here as I was, grabbing you from the airport.
Yep.
You said something. You was like, I can't, everybody has something that they need to work on. But you said your mindset is something that is there. Of course, nobody's perfect, but your mindset is good and it's just doing the right things consistent enough to the point where you get to that next step. Just wanted to know, what got you to that point where you was conscious of your mindset being the level that it's at right now?
Yeah, so that's a question that's going to date back a long time for me. Specifically, I'm going to say it'll date back to around, because I'll say my mindset really wasn't always there. I know you talked to me earlier off camera. You were saying that, you had a solid mindset, or you were building a solid mindset since you were 5, like single digits.
Nah,
Right.
I didn't say I was building them. Back then, my mindset journey started since I was 5 because that's when it got messed up. That's when it started to get screwed up.
Okay.
Then when I turned 19, I realized, I'm screwed up. Let me ask the right questions. Let me bump past the insecurities that I have, and let me really hone in on bettering my mindset.
Okay,
and it started when I was 18, 19.
Yeah, that makes more sense. Okay. Yeah, so me personally, I'd say because I grew up, I will say, I had a good childhood for the most part, in terms of, my parents, what I'm saying? They were strict. My parents they're Muslim, and they are.
Really?
Yes, my parents are Muslim and they're African.
Wow.
So as a
I wouldn't have thought you was Muslim. I'm not gonna lie.
My parents are Muslim. My whole family's Muslim.
Really?
Yeah.
And you're Muslim too?
Yeah, I am.
Really? I thought you was Christian.
Yeah. Oh no.
That's crazy.
Oh yeah.
You never know. You never know.
Yeah. No.
Wow.
Yeah. No. I'm Muslim. Yeah, but and that's a whole rabbit hole we'll get into. But yeah, so I'm sure you can imagine Muslim and African parents is a combination strict
guidelines, religious.
Of course,
it's a thin line, and well, no, it's not a thin line, it's a thick line. Don't cross that line.
The line is there.
The line is there. It's
very pronounced. It's very pronounced, but they did the best they could. It's certain things that I personally would raise. There are certain things that they did that I would do differently with my kids whenever God blesses me with kids, me personally. But they provided for me. They did give me a good childhood. It's not like they abused me or anything like that. But my childhood, particularly, it was interesting in the fact that I had friends, quote unquote, and I'll get into why I did that in a second. But I had friends, people that I played with, right? People that I would talk to at school. But from age 0 to age 17, I built a genuine connection with nobody,
Wow.
Nobody in my ever.
Hmm.
Like what because me personally, what I call a friend is what normal people, I say normal people like I'm not normal, but like what I refer to as a friend is what others would refer to as like a best friend. Right. That's what I like.
Got
If
you.
I say like you're
that's your
my
standard.
friend,
That's your standard.
that's my standard. I have
Yeah.
very high standard for people I call friends, and I'll get into that why I have that in a second. But I didn't start having genuine like friendships with people like where we would have like deep conversations and all that type of stuff until I graduated high school and I started working. Now, when I started working, right, obviously, like I said, I've never had these kind of relationships before. So you have one, I was very eager to build these kind of relationships because I was missing these my whole life, essentially. I was a loner my entire life. That's how I grew up. So you have that, and also the fact that I'm so eager to build these relationships also transitions to the fact that I was also extremely naive at that time.
Yeah, because that like the first thought that comes to my mind when you say that, when you're eager to have these relationships, people can be eager to take advantage of you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this is something I learned the hard way, right? That's
Oh,
I mean
man.
that but
I mean, it's part of life.
but at the end of the day, I've done a lot of things that I wouldn't do now. But one thing about my mindset, I don't believe in regret. I don't believe in that at all.
That's real.
Because if you regret something, right? For example, right? Let's say I'll give you my first heartbreak, for example, right? So as far as my love life, that whole story is very weird because like
It's real.
because my like first two heartbreaks literally happened within a month of each other.
What?
Yo,
I never heard that.
Bro, but when I explain the story, it's gonna make more sense. But
Okay.
just give it a second. So, but
I mean, I had a heartbreak in a week, so
yeah,
a week of meeting the persons.
Yeah.
So we definitely been there before.
But that whole thing, it taught me a lot. Like me personally, I've met a lot. Most of the people I meet are very vindictive. Like you do something to them, they want to get their get back. I've never been like that in my life ever. You know what I'm saying? Now that being said, like if you do something to me, that doesn't necessarily mean I'm not gonna be mad. That doesn't necessarily mean that I'm not, that I'm going to continue, fucking with you.
You learn your lesson and you learn how to apply it differently than in a vindictive way.
But like me personally, I just never like I consider myself a very logical person. So I don't consider it logical for me to waste my time, waste my energy on trying to get back at you for something you did to me. Because another thing I also believe in is absolute, what's the word? Absolute, what's the word I'm looking for? Accountability. Absolute accountability. Now, right? Let's take my first heartbreak, for example, right? I gave her the leverage to do that to me. That's how I think about it, right? You could think about it like, oh, I did everything for her. I was so nice to her. I never would have did this to her. This is so unfair. But if I think about it like that, how am I going to improve?
That's true. How are you going to treat the next one?
At the end of the day, and I'll tell people this, and they will legitimately get mad. This has happened to me so many times.
Really?
People will get mad at me for telling them this. Like, if you have a failed relationship, no matter what happened, you played a part in it.
Oh, yeah.
You played a part in it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I feel like if they say they play no part in it, they're ignorant.
But that's a red flag to me. I don't listen. One thing I don't do, right? Like, let's say, for example, right? Because I'm single, right? I'm not actively out there looking for someone to be with, but I'm not going to turn down the opportunity if it arises, if the woman is the right one. But one of the things that's going to show me how emotionally intelligent you are is if you're intelligent enough to take your emotions out of it and to literally sit there with the cold hard facts like, listen, I got with this man because I loved him, because he made me happy, right?
Yeah.
But we didn't work out because we wanted different things. Maybe I wanted to focus on my career and he wanted to have kids and start a family. And that wasn't my goal at the time, right? People will sit there and get into a relationship with someone without sitting down and having these hard discussions.
What I learned is that people only get in relationships, or the mass majority of people get in relationships because they feel a certain type of emotion at the time. And granted, it's okay to feel this type of emotions. That's part of it, yes. But you have to put in vision with that. Because if you don't have vision, I would consider vision as like some sort of passion. Yeah. And the reason why I say passion is because I was talking to this young woman, and I told her, like, she gives a lot of advice that's referenced towards, biblical aspects. I give a lot of advice that's more on the worldly aspect where people can get it. Not a lot of people know the Bible and stuff like that. So I'm just saying that just because. Yep. But the reason why I say vision, you need vision and emotion, and vision is passion, because passion will give you the ability to endure when you don't want to give your all, or when you feel 30% and you want to make an excuse to because you feel 30%, let me give 0% until I feel 100%, or until I feel over that edge that's above average. Of course. So if you don't have that vision within those emotions you feel, because there's like a majority of aspects that play into a role of relationships, but if you don't have that, granted, once you get to a point where you're pulling more towards accomplishing your vision and they're putting more towards their vision, that's where separation happens.
That's the point. And a lot of people today will get into relationships and be in competition with their partner. Like, that's not the point. Like, that's not the point. Yes, I've seen that. A marriage, for example, is a union between two individuals, right? If I'm playing let's say if I'm playing basketball, right, and it's 2-on-2. You and me against two others, right? What am I doing with you? I'm not in competition trying to steal the ball away from you and get more shots than you. No. If I can't shoot, but you're open, I'm passing you the ball so you can make the shot. In other words, right, both partners have to pour everything that they have into reaching a common goal. If you don't have a common goal, that's the end of it.
It's just a win.
That's the point. Now, going back to me.
Speaking of basketball, I want to ask you this question in regards to that. Would you think, it's funny when I think about it because I heard it online, would you think choosing your partner is like a business decision?
Yes. Yes, I would.
Really?
Absolutely.
Really?
Yes. Because you have to make sure, first of all, right, you have to make sure the emotional aspect is there, right? If the emotional aspect is there, then that's a part of a foundation. That's a part of the foundation. If a part of the foundation's messed up, the whole building can't be built, because when it gets built, it's going to fall right over on itself. Yeah. Now, the part of it I feel is a business decision is, okay, let's say I'm sitting down with a woman, right? I need her, right, to be emotionally intelligent, right? Because I consider myself emotionally intelligent. I'm not because the simple fact of the matter is, let's say, for example, right? Because I'm the type of person, I'm going to hold you accountable. If you do something wrong, right, just because I love you, just because I'm with you, just because we're together, I'm not going to sit there and just let that slide. Because if I let it slide, you can't learn from it, right? Because I want to see you win, right? And this is what I tell people, right? Excuse my French, but I tell everybody not everybody, but I tell people, like, I'm a real nigga. And I say that, and people don't understand what that means.
I feel like they look at it more towards a harsh worldly standpoint, and not to get into like Christian, like spiritual and worldly, but worldly in a form where they think of it as like real nigga ghetto type. You
Yes.
feel me?
Yes.
Not like a real man.
Yes.
That's like your words of saying, yo, I'm a man. I know what it is to be a man, and I'm real and I'm honest and I have integrity. I have all these things that makes me that.
That's the point. Like
Yeah.
like me personally, if I'm saying that to you, right? What I mean is, if I love you, I'm not gonna let you in my presence. I'm not gonna let you in my presence take yourself away. Like if you have a goal, I'm not going to allow you to do things that's gonna take you away from that common goal, from that goal that you want to achieve, right? So therefore, if I see you doing something wrong, right? Or I see you doing something that it's not conducive to what you want, why am I going to continue to allow you to do that? Just because I love you? Love isn't always rainbows and roses and all, and what people think is all cracked up to be. That's not what love is.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like if I'm your friend, right? And I see you, let's say for example, I'll give you a perfect example, right? Because there was this girl at work, and I don't even want to get too much into it, but there was a situation at work, right? Where now, first thing, I'm not friends with anybody from my job. Nobody. Right? And I tell them this, and sometimes they will get offended, but it is what it is. Because at the end of the day, if I quit, I'm never speaking to any of you again. So how can I call you a friend? I only associate with you when I'm there.
Yeah.
Right? So now there's this one girl, right? She used to come to me for relationship advice. Okay? Now, she came to me one day and she said, listen, I'm messing with this dude, but he's messing with another girl that I'm friends with. Right? Now, I will say this. I didn't handle that situation properly. I'm not even going to sit here and act like I was 100% in the right about that situation. And I'll tell you why in a second. So when I hear this bothers me. It really, because I've been one thing about me, right? And people will, like I mentioned before, people will get not agitated, but they will get offended when I say that I'm not friends with you. I don't consider you a friend of mine. Like when I'm at work or wherever, they'll take it some type of way. They take it personal. But one thing about me that not a lot of people know, I've been betrayed by almost everybody I've ever known. In one way or the other. I've been betrayed. So that being said, I'm not naive enough to sit here and trust anybody just because I work with you.
It's real.
Granted. Now, and the funniest part about it is people will literally show me why I don't trust you. And here's a great example, right? So now, she tells me about this situation. Mind you, I didn't say anything about it at the time because this was a lot for me to process, right? Because for me, it struck a chord with me personally because I've been there. I hate seeing that being done to other people. Now, keep in mind, I know both parties involved. What I mean by both parties is I know both girls are involved. So now I'm driving home. I'm like, bro, that's not right, bro. She had the girl who's dating this man, she has a right to know what's going on. That's not cool. And on top of that, you playing in her face. You feel me? So now I'm like, okay. The next day, right after this, I see the other girl that's dating the dude, don't know what's going on, right? Before I even realized it, I had called her to the side. And I explained to her everything that the girl told me. Right? Now, that's where I went wrong because
it wasn't your place to say that.
I'm not even gonna say that particularly because at the end of the day, if it was me, I would have wanted somebody to say it to me.
True.
Now, where I messed up is the fact that the girl who was doing it told me all of this in confidence, and instead of speaking to her first before I went to say anything to the other girl, I went and I talked to the other girl. Right? Not everybody's perfect. It is what it is, right? So I let her know everything that's going on. Now, the other girl, I meet her 2 weeks later, I see her, right? And she pulls me to the side because she wants to let me know what's going on with the situation, right? Not knowing that I'm the one who told. Now, the way she heard the story, to this day, I don't know why she heard it this way, but the way she heard the story was somebody else told on her. And I was like, yeah, stop that. Nobody else, I'm the one who said it.
And you told her that?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
This, to me, that's what being a real nigga means to me.
Yeah, integrity.
Right?
Integrity.
I'm not like, granted, I did, and I told her, I told everything that you told me, I told it to her, right? And I'm not even gonna sit here and say that I'm right for doing that because regardless of what you was doing, right? Regardless of whatever people think about what you were doing, whether it was wrong or whatever the case, right? Obviously, it's not right. But despite that, I should have at the very least come to you and let you know what my thoughts were about the situation before I went and told anybody else.
So you did. Got you. So I see. Definitely.
Right? Now, this is the type of thing. It's like, and people, when I say I don't trust you, I'm not your friend, right? It's because of situations like this. You understand?
So would you say, how is that attested to you creating the mindset or developing the mindset that you have now?
So the mindset...
did that progress you in the form where, all right, now you have a lot of wisdom to cultivate genuine relationships?
I'd say it hinders me more than anything.
Why you say that?
I say that because I find myself not being able to trust people at all. Like, at all. And at the end of the day, it's and I know it hinders me. The reason being is because I'm just one man. It doesn't matter how smart I am. It doesn't matter how strong I am. It doesn't matter how good my mindset is, right? If it's me against a team of 60 other people, I lose automatically. I can't do that.
But you
I'm not Superman.
But you don't have the trust. You don't have enough trust in other people to build a team of 60 people.
I don't.
So my advice for you on that would be, like, give people more grace, man. Understand that we all fall short of the glory. I'm not sure in most Muslim culture or anything like it, like what you learn spiritually, but what I learned from my spiritual father is that we all fall short of the glory. Yeah. Meaning, like, we can't adhere to the perfection that Jesus or God has. So we all fall short of it no matter what. We all miss the mark. We all sin in some way, shape, or form. It's just understanding the levels everybody has. And that's where I wanted to get into when you mentioned relationships and things of that nature. And we went down that path because you mentioned you want a woman that has emotional intelligence and things of that nature, and many times you want that in our significant other and in all our friendships and all our relationships. But I would say, from me seeing how my spiritual father is with his wife and the past relationships that I've been in, I would say I could care less if the future woman that I'm going to be with has emotional intelligence or things of that nature. All I just need her to have is just some form of intelligence, meaning where if she could be well, of course I want one that's equally yoked, of course, but you know how life is, but whether she's falls short on every aspect, but as long as me, the man, I'm able to teach her and guide her and she's able to receive that and grow, and that's intelligence. How fast are they able to learn something? Of course. So if I see that they're able to work on that, because hearing the stories from my spiritual mother and my spiritual father was a wild one. Like, sorry if she hears this, I'm sorry. But it's like, I'm like, she even tells the story. She's like, she was crazy back then. She was crazy. She had attitude. She even says these things when she's preaching. But I see how patient my spiritual father was, and how much grace and how much humbleness and how much humility he had, where he just endured through all that, and he constantly just teached her, correct her, gave her the grace, but did it so gently. Granted, it was some points where you have to be a disciplinarian, like that's what a father's love is. If you keep falling,
I'm going to tell you to get up on your own instead of helping you back up, of course. But
course.
as a man, you got to learn how to be gentle and just work with somebody to help them grow. So
Yeah.
it's like, my advice for you is just like, think about that when you're around these people, when you see these people. Of course, respect your privacy. Of course, respect and create boundaries for yourself. Don't bring in people and be close with them where you make the mistake I did and fall in love in the week and get your heart broken in a week. I've been there. Trust me, I've been there.
We're going to get into that.
I've been there. But just give yourself the grace and just know and just like let the person reveal themselves to you, and it's up to you to make that decision to develop a genuine relationship with them for how well you guys can teach each other, because like the word says, iron sharpens iron.
Yeah.
But you won't be able to identify iron unless you dig at the ground, until you chip at the ground.
Of course.
If you keep it surface level, if you keep that, if you're just at the ground, at the dirt, and you don't want to build a relationship, how are you gonna find out that they're iron?
Yeah.
So I would say just be gentle and just endure with them a little bit more in that aspect.
But this is the thing, though, because remember, I said emotional intelligence, not perfect. Not I need her to be perfect. Right?
No, yeah.
It takes a certain level of emotional intelligence to sit there and be like, okay, I was wrong, and I'm going to take advice, and I'm going to go and ask somebody else who knows better than me in this particular situation that I already messed up in, or that I don't know how to navigate, and I'm going to receive whatever they have to tell me, and I'm going to implement what they're going to have to tell me.
Yeah.
Right? It does, like, it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying, when I say I want a woman with emotional intelligence, I'm not saying, like, they have to be, like they have to be perfect.
Yeah,
like,
and
I know there's no such thing.
Yeah, and I wasn't implying that you had that. It was just don't have high standards on like every aspect altogether, but as long as they have the ability to do what you just said. But just understand, with emotions, women is a wild card.
Yeah, no. So, agreed, for sure. Agreed, for sure. You know what I'm saying? Like, me personally, I know, like, because you have to be, like, there are certain aspects of a woman that you cannot, like, you want a woman that's honest, right? And not even just women, like not even just women. Like, let's not even
friends, everybody.
Just, like, when it comes to relationships in general, right? You want someone that's honest. You want someone who is going to value your friendship and reciprocate the same energy, if not more energy than what you give them, right? That these things are things that you can't really, like, these are boundaries that you can't really let up on, right? But me personally, like, I know, like, you know what I'm saying? I'm not looking for the bad, like, when it comes to women, I'm not looking for, like, the baddest woman out here or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, for me, it's more so the personality than anything, right? Where do you want to be in life, right? Or, like, where do you want to be in your life? How can I help you get to where you want in life? And how can you help me get to where I want, right? And again, like, we have to have a common goal. So that means, so by extension, that means me helping you get what you want and you helping me get what I want. We're helping each other get what we want, in common with each other. You feel me? So at the end of the day, it's like, I'm not sitting here, and that's another thing too, because I feel like, because of social media, like, especially since for the past few years, right? I've been seeing mainly on Instagram and TikTok, right? Oh, like, I need a man that's 6 foot, that's a millionaire, you know what I'm saying? And then, like, men will do the same thing to a degree. Right?
High standards.
Right? You know what I'm saying?
They look at the materialistic things and the things that they see on social media, and
the things that really don't matter.
And they want that they want a copy because they see somebody else has it.
That's what I'm saying.
At the end of the day, you have different graces. Everybody has different graces.
That's
everybody has different partners. Everybody has different soulmates or the people God put together. Like, it's different for everybody.
It's different for
when social media is involved, man. I done seen relationships, even from my younger brother to friends, where their significant others, all they wanted to do was copy what they see on social media. And I
but that's the
seen
thing.
that
Social media is a facade. That's all it is.
yeah.
Because people, I'm not gonna say everybody, but a lot of people, I'd say like 95% of content creators on social media will post the good parts of their life, right? Like, for example, like you'll see somebody fly to Dubai, you know what I'm saying, doing all the ATVs, four-wheeling, riding camels and stuff. But you're not going to see the $10,000 in credit card debt that came with that.
Debt, not cash that they use. Debt.
Again, like that's a facade.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like people take social media and they're, you know what I'm saying? And that's one thing too, that there's one thing that my mindset, like there's one aspect of my mindset that I would say is very different from a lot of other people, because I've heard this so many times. Oh, social media causes depression and all this. Bro, when I see somebody doing better than me, right? When I see somebody doing better than me, that makes me happy for that person, but it motivates me to want to get to where they're at. It motivates me. That doesn't make me, oh man, like he got a Lambo at 21 and I'm 22. I'm just sitting here working at that, just working a regular job, slaving away. Like,
But you have a purpose though.
Even before that though,
Really?
I've always been like that, and that's one thing. That's one mystery of myself. I've never been able to crack. I've never in my life ever envied anybody. I've never been jealous of anybody. Even people who like have been poor. Like, let's say for example, someone that just bought a lottery ticket, struck it big, right? People that or even people who just like, for example, that one girl, I'm sure you've seen her. Like, she was big on TikTok the past few weeks. Like the hawk tour. Like, you see, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, get your I remember I seen she actually had got booked to show, literally just to show her face. I think it was at like a pool party. 5 figures, bro. And I'm just like, bro, amazing. Like, get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, get your money, right? I'm gonna be joining you soon. Not joining her, but I'm gonna be on that level.
On that level.
That makes me want to work harder. You know what I'm saying? And that's something that to me I've never personally understood people that'll look at that. Like, I can understand like logically why people will do that.
Yeah, because many times the reason why, and I've seen this in most people too, the reason why they get depressed when they see these things is because they don't know their purpose.
They feel like they're stagnant.
They feel like they're stagnant.
They feel like they're stagnant.
The reason why you're stagnant is because you don't have a target to go towards.
Exactly.
Because I asked even one of my closest friends this. Well, I say closest friends because it's one of my the friends that I knew him the longest, pretty much. We're not as close as we used to be because different levels in life. Yeah. But I asked him this. I asked him, yo, what's your personal growth plan? And he's saying all these things, and it's like, bro, you don't have a personal growth plan. Like, what's going on? No wonder why you feel stagnant. No wonder why you feel these things. No wonder why you're like, your life be life and it's a roller coaster. Granted, it's a roller coaster, but once you have these plans in place, just follow the play. Follow the play.
Exactly. I look at it like levels to a game, because to me that's how it is, right? Like, you set small targets for yourself, right? And it's just like when you were young and you play, people might still be playing video games now. I barely ever play myself, but like, you hit one target, that's what, like, once you hit that one target, right? You have the disposition between when you hit the target and before you hit the target, right? That disposition right there, right? That's what makes you think, okay, I'm going somewhere. I need to keep going. Right? When you were on I'm sure everybody's gone through this, right? When you were young, right? And you were stuck on a level on a game. And you playing day and night. You feel like you're not getting anywhere because you're not. You're sitting here, like, it took you, like, you've played the level 100 times and you still can't get it. But once you crest it, you're like, okay, boom. like I finally got it,
And
right?
sometimes it just happens just because, like, the wildest stuff happens.
That's what I'm saying.
And you're just doing it till a miracle happens at one point. Until you learn what you need to learn in that level.
And and me personally, like whenever that happened to me, I never got stuck on that level. I would never get stuck on that level again.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I'm saying?
Definitely, because I feel like God caused you to have so much difficulty in that particular level, because once you pass that, He doesn't want you to struggle on with that same level when you get when you get on level 100. Because if you're on level 100, imagine if you were struggling with that similar type level at that higher scale, how much more taxing would it be mentally? If it was taxing on you mentally, granted, not all people is taxing given, but imagine if it was taxing to you then. Imagine how much more taxing would it be at that high level? Because people say it's the same problem. Everybody has the same problem, but just in different magnitudes.
And you want to know what a lot of people will do?
What?
They'll hit hardship, right? And I'm guilty of making this mistake, very much so. They'll hit hardship, and they're like, what did I do wrong, God? Like, why am I being punished? Like, what did I do? I ain't do nothing. Like,
they sulk in it.
They sulk in it, right? Now, I'm gonna go back to the story, right? Because the first question you asked me was about my mindset. I'm gonna go back to that, right? So, like I said, I didn't start building genuine relationships with people until I graduated high school and started working. Once I started working, right, then I met a bunch of people at my first job specifically, and I'm like, oh wow, like these people are super friendly. I've never experienced this before, like, you know what I'm saying? And I'm sitting here thinking like, all these people are my friends, but to this day, I don't talk to any one of them, not one. Right now, it's like, okay, it's a long story, but basically, which example should I give?
First one that comes to mind.
I'll give you the example of the first girl I ever fell in love with, right? Now, I fell in love with her, and I don't know. Now, granted, I don't know how other people, first love is, but I know like their actions are a lot similar to mine. But like for me, it was so different because I never experienced this before with anybody. Right? I had crushes or whatever. Everybody has crushes, like when you're in school or whatever. But I was like, I can't. I can't get her off my mind type. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like,
That's
okay.
very hard. I know. The first time.
I know,
very
right?
Hard.
So, like, and me and her, we were close. You know what I'm saying? And, we were super close, talking every day. But, just to make a long story short, because it's a lot of unnecessary fluff in this story. But she got to a point where she purposely betrayed me. And to this day, I still can't tell you why she did it. She sent me we had a streak on Snapchat, right? I send random pictures throughout the day, right? 3 times she sent me pictures with her boyfriend in bed with her.
If she purposely sent you those things, how did she break your heart?
That was it. That was it right there. Because my first love was a very unique situation. Most people date their first love. I never did. Right? She knew I was in love with her, but we were never in an actual relationship. That being said, right? She knew how I felt about her, and you still did that. Now, again, this goes back to the same thing I did before, because same thing I said before. This goes back to the same thing I said before, right? And that is, it was my fault because she had lied to me several times about different things. So once you show me that you're untrustworthy and I still allow you to be a part of my life, whatever you do past that point is on me. I can't blame you for that, right? You still did wrong to me, fine. But I can't blame, I'm not going to, well, I can blame you for that, but I'm not going to. I'm going to blame myself.
So from the level you're at with all these experiences that you had, and you know, bless God that you had all these experiences, because one way for you to get to somewhere in life, you have to have some type of experience to get you to that next step. Experiences is gonna be the bridge that's gonna take you from a fixed mindset to having a growth mindset.
Of course.
So with all these experiences that you had, what would you say is something that you've learned to now have genuine relationships with others? Like, granted, we met one time and I felt like we had genuine conversations and stuff like that. And like, how can you discern that from the rest?
When it comes to genuine relationships, one of the things I remember, I was talking to you in the car on the way here, right? One of the things that will make me actually be interested, because it's not even just like, I'm not interested in having a relationship with a lot of people. And it's not just because I can't trust you, right? That's a part of it. But the other part of it is, if you can't help me improve my life and vice versa, why are you my friend? Please tell me. There is absolutely, if you cannot help me improve my life, right? If you are going to, because energy is extremely sticky, right?
Yeah.
It's very, very sticky.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm so particular about the people I keep around me, not just because I can't trust you, but I'm also very particular about my energy. Like, for example, when I'm at work, right? I'm going to tell you, one of the people I can't stand being around is a person that complains a lot.
That's true.
I can't stand being around people that complain. Like,
So
literally all you hear them do is complain.
So how would you determine like a genuine relationship, or somebody has the ability to have a genuine relationship with, is when you identify something that they can help them with? Or how do you find something where you can have a genuine relationship where it doesn't seem self-centered all the time?
Let me use you as an example. What are you doing for me right now? You're giving me exposure. 1. 2, what are you doing? You're giving me advice. Right? I just told you that I struggle to build relationships because I don't trust people. Right? You're giving me advice.
Yeah.
Right? 3, what are you doing? Right? You have a bunch of business ventures that you're invested in right now. Right? So therefore, right, just based off of these 3 things, right, this is something that makes me want to keep you around, right? Because I feel like, there's a mutual benefit here for the both of us, right? Because you can benefit from me, right? From like marketing knowledge, for example, from just life knowledge, for example, right? And I could benefit from you off of the 3 reasons I just mentioned.
Yeah.
Right.
And I like that you said that, because I mentioned that during the car ride we had on the way here, because I listened to this, and I recommend you listen to somebody else's podcast, Jay Shetty, Caught on Purpose. And this specific episode, when Tony Robbins and Jay Shetty were talking, Jay Shetty asked him, hey, what would it take for somebody to become your friend? Because granted, when you have a lot of fame, you generate a lot of likeness for yourself, and people resonate with you. People are going to want to be your friends, but what qualifies somebody to be friends with you? And I like that you said that, because the same reason Tony Robbins had, I realized I had that for myself, but I didn't really come in agreement with it until it became conscious then, where Tony Robbins said, hey, for somebody to become friends with me, I got to recognize the calling that they have, that I have to recognize that they're working towards their calling, that they're working towards their purpose. They're working towards who God called them to be. Because at the end of the day, like, everybody I have is working on cures for cancer, cures for this, doctors, lawyers, but they're working towards a specific purpose, not just the title and just operating in that title. It's something beyond that and beyond themselves.
Of course.
I was like, because he's operating so much in he's going to need those people around that so he can look at that for encouragement. He can look at that for motivation. He can look at that for the ability to like, all right, they're on this level. Let me get higher. Let me just push hard because these people are pushing hard for what they're looking for, what they're looking to do.
Yes, sir.
So I like that you said that because like I won't. That is causing you, like me and you, is causing us to push each other to reach a higher level.
That's
in life.
the point. Like people, a lot of people actually. I'll actually argue. Well, not argue, but I would actually add to that a lot of people actually have a good mindset because you'll go like I'll go to work and I'll hear people talking about businesses like, oh, I wanna start a car detailing business. You know what I'm saying? Like just different types of businesses. Everybody will talk about businesses. But talking and doing are two very different things. If you're all bark, no bite, then it doesn't benefit you at all. If you talk about starting a business for the rest of your life, then you're going to be on your deathbed wondering what you've been doing for the past 50, 60 years. And that's probably, I'm not going to say that's my biggest fear in life, but that's one thing that I fear in life. I don't want to sit here and be like, man, I should have did this. Like, I should have just started that business. And a lot of people, and granted, I'm one of these people, by the way, right? They'll wait for the perfect opportunity. They'll wait for a God-given, God-sent perfect opportunity to start whatever business venture they want to do.
I would say it goes back to the advice that I mentioned earlier. You need to develop more passion. Because if you're waiting for the perfect opportunity, because it's not a perfect opportunity, you're giving yourself an excuse to not even put anything into action.
That part.
Like what I said with the 30%, making an excuse to give 0%. Like if you're sick, that doesn't give you the excuse to stay in bed all day and not work.
That's the point.
There's many people that reached a high level in life that they went weeks without eating. They went days without sleeping. Granted, I'm not going to tell you to do that because it's not smart for the long term. But if you have to do what you have to do, you have to do what you have to do. And the only thing that got them through that was passion.
Exactly, right? Passion will help you create discipline. It will motivate you to create discipline to get you where you need to be. Because at the end of the day, what a lot of people also don't understand is motivation is fleeting.
Yes.
It's not constant.
Don't chase.
It's not constant. It is not.
Bro.
You got it. What you depend on is discipline, not motivation. Motivation will get you, right? That motivation is what starts you on the path, but discipline is what keeps you there. And when discipline keeps you there and you stay on the path, that's when you eventually will get to where you want to be.
I like that. I was reading this book and the book is right there on that table. It's 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John C. Maxwell. I think I said his name right.
Yeah.
I like what you said about motivation, that is fleeted, because I would say it's fleeted to some degree. Because sometimes people need motivation to begin a process.
Yes,
because there's two parts in life. There's there's motivation and process. But in the books, it puts motivation as events, like seminars, networking events, stuff like that to get motivation. Yeah. But then there's the law of the process where you put what you have into action, and you can only do that with passion and discipline. Yes. Where the results is going to show if you follow the process no matter what. Yeah. But if you consistently just go to events and go to motivation, it's gonna be up and down, up and down, up and down. But the process is just gonna be steadily. You're gonna be rising. But when you're down here, it's gonna feel horrible. Many people don't endure this entire the bottom edge of the bell curve. They don't endure that. Once you get over that and you feel the rise, bro, the adrenaline, the love, the passion you feel is going to be 10 times higher than what you feel at an event or at a networking event or whatever motivation or whatever thing that might given you motivation back then.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that. I believe I got this story out of, I believe it was Think and Grow Rich. I believe it was.
Yeah, manifestation. Yeah, that goes, motivate. Yeah.
It was a story about the gold rush. There was a particular family. They heard about the gold rush. They moved out west, and they bought the drilling equipment to start drilling for gold. And they drilled and 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 didn't find any gold, right? And they got to a point where they gave up, and they sold the equipment to, I believe it was the Rockefeller family. I believe it was. Don't quote me on that though. What the Rockefeller family did, if it was them, again, don't quote me on that, but what the Rockefeller family did, they drilled just a bit and hit a mountain of gold. And the point of the story was, the memoir here is this. People don't stick it out. Just like you said, they don't stick out the hard times. Because, like, me personally, right, I know exactly what I'm shooting for, right? I know what I'm shooting for. I want to be financially free by the time I'm 25 years old.
So,
and that's a goal that I haven't told that many people, and I'll get to why that is in
you
just
said
a
financially free
second.
when you're 30 years old?
When I'm 25.
25.
That's my goal. Now, that being said,
I like that.
exactly. Now, that being said, right? It's hard. I could sit here and name 1,000 reasons why it's hard.
And as you get into that,
But
go ahead.
what people don't understand is there's a term, right? There's a term known as compound interest in finance, right? It basically means that your interest multiplies. The amount of money the amount of money that you make increases exponentially. Not linear, but exponentially, right? So all of that work that you're putting in, those habits that you're building, those late nights that you're up, the mindset that you're crafting, all of this at some point in time, with God's help, is going to get you to where you want to be. And you have to believe in that completely and absolutely. And part of believing in that is believing in God's work.
Amen, yeah. Amen.
Because again, God is going to test the people that he loves. It says this in the Quran. He's going to test the people that he loves, because that's how you learn. Just like you mentioned before, right? Somebody you love, you see them fall, you're not finna pick them up for them. Like, you're not going to pick them up for them. You're not going to do it for them. You're going to let them fall and get back up. That first story I told you in regards to my first love, you know what happened? My brother, he's currently 31 years old. He's married with 4 kids, right? So he knows relationships, right? I told him about this relationship, or not relationship, but I told him about this situation from start to finish. And he told me, he said, you should just let this go. But he didn't press.
Because, you needed to go through that yourself.
He knew that I needed to. Now I understand why he did that. He knew that I needed to go through and see it for myself. He knew that I needed to go through and experience all the trauma, the heartbreak, the hardship, and everything, the emotions, everything that came with that. And that's what's going to teach me to not do that again.
And it goes back to what we mentioned earlier. In order for you to achieve some sort of wisdom or some sort of level in life, you need to have a certain amount of experiences under your belt. People aren't gonna view you as credible if you don't have enough experience.
I'm gonna say this. You have to go through a traumatic experience. I'm gonna say that, and the reason why I say that is because those experiences, right? Because I'll give you one point of contention between myself and my father, right? Unfortunately, my relationship with my parents is not as good as I would like it to be. Now, one of the things, this isn't one of the main reasons, but one of the points of contention between me and my parents is, like, for example, I'll actually take it back to when I just graduated high school. Now, I was telling you about the story. Or not about the story, but I told you that I had gotten into a wreck with my first car.
Yeah, your car.
Not my fault, but that's besides the point. Anyway, I had gotten into a wreck with that car, right? And one of my dad's friends, right? First, I called him because he had a car that he wasn't using at the time. I said, "Listen, I just got into a wreck. Can I borrow your car?" He said, "Sure." This is 2 hours after the accident. And then a month later, I realized, I was like, he's not using this car. Let me ask him if I can buy this car off of him. So that's what I did. And he sold me the car. So now, my dad, right? My dad wanted to pay for the car. He wanted to, this is one of the things where I say, like, I don't necessarily, like, I would treat my own sons different in this particular situation. So what he did was he wanted to buy the car. Like, I was paying my dad's friend every month for the car. And my dad, he didn't want me to owe the guy or whatever the case. So he was like, I'm just going to pay for the car. But I wanted to pay for the car. I wanted the satisfaction of knowing that I didn't have any help from him to buy this car. And on top of that, I knew that he would use it as a bargaining chip. Because I knew that at that time, he wanted me to go to college. And I was like, me and academics don't mix.
Yeah,
unless it's something I'm extremely interested in.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's honest.
At that point, I'm going to excel. But math, like algebra and all this other stuff that I'll never use in life, no. So therefore, this is something like I wanted to do without his help, right? But he never understood. To this day, I don't even think he understood where I was coming from that particular situation. And he took it as me being ungrateful or whatever the case. And it was never meant like that. I'm very grateful. I'm blessed, as a matter of fact, right? My parents, I never went not one day without food. I've never went one day without water. I've never went one day without heat. Like, I'm blessed. I consider myself extremely blessed, and I thank God every day.
So what is the moral of everything towards mindset and passion?
The moral of everything is I want to delete my safety net, if that makes sense. Because if that's the case, right, if you always have a safety net to fall back on, right, then you can never really learn what you need to learn to survive when that safety net isn't there.
I like that you said that, because I wanted to ask you this question before you got into that. And it was, how do you develop the level of passion that you have now to give yourself a goal like by 25 I will be financially free? Where do you find and give yourself that passion? Is because you don't want to have that safety net, because you've seen what it does to people if they have something like that, like, or is it something else for you?
Me personally, first off, I hate being told what to do. I hate it.
So how does that lead to passion? Sometimes your mentors tell you what to do.
But that's different. That's different. Because if I'm at work, right, and my manager tells me, oh, go unload that plane, right? I'm just unloading the plane. That's it. If I have a mentor, if he's telling me to do something, I know that what I'm doing, right, I'm going to learn something, and the action of me doing that is going to get me closer to where I want to be, which is financially free. My whole thing is, right, because me personally, right, one of the reasons I want to be financially free is the fact that I don't see the reason of staying in America any longer. I don't see it.
So would you say that incorporates to the passion too as
Yes.
well?
Yes, it does. Because there's a lot of things that go on here that I don't agree with at all. At all.
I feel you.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, for example, did you know, mind you, I heard this statistic, I want to say a year ago. Between 2020 and today, do you know how much of the money in circulation, right, was printed, what percentage of money was
Oh, no.
printed?
Yeah.
You know the statistic I'm talking.
It's like recently, like 80% of the
Yes,
U.S.'s
bro.
money was printed between the pandemic and
that
now.
scared me, bro.
Yeah.
That scared me.
Yeah.
Because you got to think about it. In the 50s, when we were still on the gold standard, right? Houses were going for
$3,500.
30, like less than $10,000.
$3,500.
And to the,
I wish.
like
Jesus.
even now, how hard is like are you gonna find a decent? I mean, you'll find
Now-
a decent car for under $10,000 if you're lucky.
Yeah, I feel like somebody gave me this perspective, and I had him on an episode recently. He said it's perspective too, because it's depending on where you live and where you reside,
Yep.
it can determine the prices of housing and stuff like that. But down here in Florida, or in places like Charlotte, or in places like Texas, New York, you need to have a job and 2 to 3 side hustles,
Of course,
or a couple co-signers
of
to afford a
course.
house.
But this is my thing, and I'm going to and this is going to come full circle. And I'll show you how.
Into passion.
This is going to come full circle in the form of, what was that word again? What was that word? It's going to come back full circle in the form of, what's that word?
Discipline, consistency,
Starts with a A.
accountability.
Yes, it's going to come back to accountability. When you ask anybody, right, about the election this year, right? Oh, which candidate are you excited for? Neither of them. They vote.
Trump
because
is, yeah. Trump. I mean, I would favor more Trump, but because on the business side, but the list of things that I saw that he's looking to do, it's like, come on, bro. It's like a dual-edged sword.
But that's, yeah. Like, bro, like, this is a situation where you're not going to be able to win. So what do, right? Most people will sit there and complain.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I've noticed most people will do. Just sit there and complain.
I'd say part of that and part of making it a full circle to accountability is just making the best out of it.
My thing is,
right?
Making the best out of it. How are you going to do that? Me personally, I told you that I'm going to Dubai in October, right?
Yeah.
I'm going there because I'm searching for places to live. That's the reason. I'm not going there for leisure. I'm going there. I'm going to attend networking events, meet people, and talk with them and figure out what's the ins and out of that place. Is it worth moving there?
You said when?
Huh?
When?
In October.
With that perspective, because I have thought about living other places. The only thing that's holding me here is my church. But when I'm financially free, I could care less about that.
That's what I'm saying. So my whole thing is, right, because I consider myself a extremely logical individual. So if I sit down and I think about this extremely logically, right, there's nothing keeping me here in terms of America being better than any other country. I don't look at it like that. Maybe 10, 15 years ago, I would have looked at it like that. But even then, America's been on a steady decline ever since. Like, since that point, like, it's been on a steady decline. In my personal opinion,
I would say
right?
I agree with you on that
because it's so many things that I can mention, right?
From taxes,
from taxes to like, I'll give you here's the big one: society.
I feel like the only thing that's good in America, and take it with a grain of salt to take it down easier, is that depending on certain areas you're in, if you're not at that level in terms of mindset, it can help you get to the level where you need to be, where you can understand, all right, you can pull what you need to pull to then go to those other places and build those foundations and grow to a higher level.
I'll give America that. But it has opportunity.
But this is where the double-edged sword comes into play, where it's like, as much as it can do that on the positive side, it can do the same exact thing on the negative side.
That's what I'm saying.
Drugs to the same people that's there to the influence people can have on you name it, bro.
It's when you talk about influence, right? That's a whole nother rabbit hole I'm gonna go down for a second, right? Do you know King Von, the rapper?
Yeah,
I watched his documentary.
I didn't. I didn't even know he had
My
one.
my brother had watched this documentary. He texted me, he's like, bro, you need to watch this, bro. It's so interesting. And I watched it. And it outlined for me, I was like, this is so interesting because, right? It's this cycle of violence, right? This comes back to me not being vindictive.
I like that.
Because you being vindictive, right? An eye for an eye makes the entire world blind. Have you heard of the gang wars in Chicago?
Give or take.
Give or take,
I
yeah.
went to school in Quincy, Illinois, 4 hours south of Chicago, so to some extent, but not really.
Okay. Watching King Von's documentary really gave me a clear picture, even if it wasn't all facts, right? But it gave me a very clear picture as to what happens because you're born literally on the poorest side of town, right? And you click up with a few individuals, right? And then they're beefing with another group of individuals. And nobody knows why they're beefing. Something happened years ago. The people that were originally involved in whatever happened are dead, long gone.
And they now have just been taken out of context.
And it's been and the cycle of violence is just there.
Yeah,
it just keeps on going.
That I've seen.
So now it's like, okay, now you get super duper tight with these individuals. And then somebody from the other group comes and kills one of them.
Just eye for an eye, it just repeats.
And when you're a child, right? Now, I don't even want to make it seem like I'm excusing King Von for any of the things he did or any other like rapper that have lived that life. I'm not excusing it at all. But, right? You're seeing that at a young age, right? And it's just like at a young age, you're going off your emotion because you don't know no better. So now you take that same mindset with you into being an adult. You killed my homie, so I'm going to kill your homie. Well, you killed my homie, so I'm going to come back and kill your...
Especially when at a young age, if you accomplish something that has some sort of negative stature, like killing somebody else or something like that, and the people you're around glorify that, your body and your mind is going to be used to that type of emotion that you get from doing those things.
Energy is sticky.
Yeah.
It's very sticky.
So with all these things, and as we close out, how with knowing that energy is sticky, with knowing the lessons you know now in building general relationships and finding passion and everything, what would be the number one advice you would give somebody to, whether somebody younger than you, older than you, because wisdom is timeless, what would be the number one advice that you would give to somebody to go after success with all their heart, with all their passion, with everything?
I would say, me personally, I would say this, all right? For someone my age or someone like in their late teens, right? I would say carefully examine all your friends or all the people that you call friends and sit down and take your emotions out of it. Is this person helping me grow? If I did something wrong, are they going to correct me or are they going to stand behind me? Right? Because me personally, if I do something wrong and I have someone in my circle that won't correct me, you're not no friend of mine. Why? Because why am I keeping you around? You're not helping me. Right? So now, once you take an inventory of everyone that you call a friend, understand, right? Take your emotions out of it and understand that, okay, is this person helping me go to where I want to go?
That's real.
Right? And it's not, and I'll be the first to say, it's not an easy thing to cut friends off, especially like people that that you've known for a long period of time. But if they're not helping you move forward, bro, if they're not helping you, they're hurting you. That's right? There's no such thing as neutral in this situation. Either someone's helping you or they're hurting you.
That's real.
Simple as that. So now, Me personally, what I would do, right? There are a lot of avenues to make money or just get wherever you want to get to in life, right? Find what you think would be the most efficient avenue for you and stick with it. And when you do that, right, go get a nice, get a couple nice shirts, right? There's like in Charlotte, I don't know if like this is everywhere, but in Charlotte specifically, I know like there's this Goodwill boutique, right? If you're from Charlotte, like like on South Boulevard, there's something called a Goodwill boutique. Basically, that's where people like they donate high end clothes, right? Go like I got a full suit for $25, right? So spend a little bit of money, right, so that you look presentable, right? And I would go to and I would first, before I even do anything else, right, do your best to master a skill that makes other business owners want you around. When I decided that I wanted to be an entrepreneur, again, logic. So I sat down, I was like, okay, how am I going to do this? I don't know any entrepreneurs. I don't know anyone that can help me, right?
That's real.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I'm valuable to these people. I'm going to make sure that these people want me around, right? So what did I do? I went and I started learning how to do marketing, right? Learning is an ongoing process, right? I'm always learning new things about sales, marketing, things of that nature. So I sat down and I did that. And then I purchased a domain name for MC Marketing Solutions. That's my marketing agency. And got myself literally a digital business card on my phone, got myself a suit or two, right? And then I started going to as many networking events as I possibly could.
That's it.
Because at the end of the day, right, one of the places you're going to find an abundance of opportunity is in the people that you meet. And if you, especially at a young age, if you go to networking events, what I've noticed, people, again, right, you and I go to networking events. Most of the time, on average, you're the youngest person in the room by 15, 20 years. These are people that have been in business for a long period of time, most of the time, right? And for me, right, they see themselves in you when they were struggling. They can emotionally connect with you because they were there and they see that you're trying everything, you're trying your hardest to get to where they're at now, right? And if you pull one of them to the side, it doesn't even need to be in your field, right?
Timeless.
Like I'm doing marketing, right? I have a mentor right now. He's a business consultant, right? He helps people with the logistics of growing their businesses, right? I pull him to the side for a one-to-one. I was like, bro, I'm gonna be completely honest with you here, right? I'm just starting out in business, right? I would like you to mentor me. If you have the time, I would really love it if you would mentor me, right? And help me navigate my way like through business because I'm starting, I have the passion, I have the drive. This is what I'm trying to do. This is my goal. And I would really like it if you would help me get there. Most people, most business owners, right? They're very low on time, but they'll make time for you. And if you know what I'm saying, and then right, that's what's called investing in yourself, right? Because me personally, right, my first few mentors, right, they didn't charge me anything, right? But as you go, right, the more that these people can impact your business, you're going to have to start paying for mentorship.
Yeah.
Like that's a big thing. Like mentorship for me, right? I'm not an established entrepreneur or anything of the sort as of right now. I'm not, right? Let's keep it real. But mentorship for me is the biggest thing because I'm not perfect, right? Am I smart for my age? Sure. Right? Do I have a good mindset for my age? Sure. But I'm not perfect. You're not perfect.
That's real.
Right? These people have been in business. They've been doing this a whole lot longer than you. Chances are they've run over the same speed bumps you're running into.
Yeah, that's why I say wisdom is timeless and it's nicheless.
It is. You know what I'm saying? But again, right? It comes full circle again because it comes back to what? Emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
Because it takes humility.
Yeah.
It takes, humility is a part of emotional intelligence. You have to sit down and be like, you know what? I don't know everything.
Yeah.
I need help.
And
that's the hardest thing for a lot of people.
I would say, yeah, it takes humility and humbleness. And humbleness, because humbleness is when you think of yourself modestly, where it's like you don't know everything. Yeah. Or even if you do know something, I'm still gonna receive it, even though they're repeating the same thing I know. Yeah. But it could be one thing that they mention that they know that I don't know that could take what I know to the next level and compound it even more.
Of course. Like,
I appreciate that.
Of course, yeah. Like, I'll give you an example. Patrick Bet-David. You know how much it is for him to mentor you personally? $40,000. I don't know how often, but I think it's $40,000 a call.
Man,
but you gotta.
Day,
but
my coach is gonna be
let's
like that.
Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and quantify everything that I just said. Let's go ahead and because you can quantify it. So let's do that, right? So let's say right now, let's say that my business is doing $200,000 in revenue a year. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, let's say 3 calls with Patrick Bet-David, right? And he explained to me a strategy within these 3 calls, right? And those 3 calls combined cost me, let's say, $120,000, right? If what he explained to me, because for those who don't know, Patrick Bet-David, right, he's a foreigner from Iran.
I would say he's a powerful thinker. Just codify
like
he's a powerful thinker.
Search him up. Search him up. Like,
if you don't know, search him up.
But just a little crash course on him. He's a foreigner from Iran who came here, had nothing, absolutely nothing. And he told his father, he said, I'm going to make sure that your last name is known throughout the entire world. And what did he do?
He did just that.
He built an insurance agency, right? That. And sold it for multi 9 figures. Didn't specify how much, obviously. A lot of times you can't do that, right? He sold it for multi 9 figures. This is a dude who came from overseas, had nothing when he came here, had absolutely nothing, and he built himself from the ground up. If he is able to give me a strategy that takes me from, let's say $200,000 a year.
Yeah, you mentioned the $200,000
to $1 million a year. What is that? 120,000.
It's 10%, a little over 10%.
So
over 10%.
That's what I'm saying. So that's what
I'm
saying.
Might as well write that off of your taxes.
So therefore, and you can do that. If you live in the U.S., you can do that.
Yeah.
So now right? We just quantified what I just said. Right? Mentorship is key.
Yeah.
It's key. It's key, right? And also, speaking about Patrick Bet-David, because that's one thing I forgot to mention.
And we're going to end off with this.
The turning point, me personally, the turning point for my mindset was, I'm sure you know it, you know Andrew Tate.
I mean, I never really, I've had conversations about him. I didn't really know about the full scope of how he got his riches, which is crazy.
I'm not gonna lie.
Like let's not get into. I don't like talking about that once I find out. But it's like,
yeah,
but it's like
I'm gonna say this because it's cliche,
Yeah.
right? You either love him or you hate him.
Yeah.
It's never in between.
I
But
reckon
it's
I
cliche.
the only thing I like about him is the motivational stuff that he puts out.
His message, right?
That's his message now. Yeah.
That because I'm gonna say this, right? Because we're out of time. Fine, but before I discovered who he was, because I'll never forget this, bro. 2022 was the worst year of my life. Period. Like, I'm gonna say this: the only reason that I'm alive right now, the only reason, and I haven't told this many people this, right? The only reason I'm alive right now is because of the fact that it's because of two things. One, it's a sin to commit suicide. At least in Islam, it's a sin to commit suicide. And two, in his book, right, in the Quran, it says that God will never put you through something that you can't bear. So those are the only two reasons I'm still alive right now, at this moment in time, sitting here talking to you. For a whole bunch of reasons, like if I were to sit here and explain every single reason, we'd be sitting here for the next 5 hours. But for a plethora of reasons, right? I'm gonna say this, right? Because I don't like the word depression because of the way it's used in society today.
These are not excuses.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say this. I was existing in 2022, right? There were times, actually a lot of the time, that I would just hope that I didn't wake up the next morning. Right?
Some of us were there at one point.
A lot of us. Honestly, I'd say a lot of us. I feel like we're there at some point.
And that's
right?
honest, yeah.
And to be honest with you, I always say this because me personally, when it comes to celebrities, I never really cared for them because at the end of the day, they're just well-known people. That's all. But if I had to meet anybody who's alive today, it would be him. Because and it would be him just to say thank you, because he made it so like it's the way he talks, like the way he puts emotion in his voice, the way he articulates his words, everything, and what he says, right? Like I remember, like I would literally just listen to what this man is saying, and it's just like, bro, like. You're sitting here, right? You want more in life, right? You're sitting here, like, you see, I have all these cars, I have all these women, whatever, right? And you want the life that I have, but what are you doing to actually achieve the life that I have? You're sitting on your ass, not doing anything. And you're sitting there, you're depressed.
Just watching.
Because you're not doing anything. You feel like you're not going anywhere in life.
Because you're physically
not.
You're not.
Because you look at it like we've been so conditioned in society, and this is one thing, like it's so many broken aspects of society, but we've been conditioned to not chase what we want. Like I was talking to
I would say not just be conditioned to chase those things, but we've been conditioned to be comfortable.
Bro.
We've been conditioned to, like, the words couch potato, the words sit down, watch TV, relax.
Bro, literally, I was having a conversation with, it was a dude and a woman. I was having a conversation with them too, and they were saying, oh, like, don't be money hungry, or I forget what it is that they said, but something about money hungry, right? And even now, like we say that like it's a bad thing, right? You and I, right? Or not even you and I, right? My own mom, right? Oh, like you're chasing after money, this, that, and the third. You shouldn't chase after money. I said, Mom, when you go to work, my mom's a cosmetologist. When you go to work for 8 hours and you stand on your feet for 8 hours straight, cutting hair all day, what are you doing? You're chasing money, right? They condition, like, money doesn't buy happiness. You're money hungry. Like society has conditioned us to make it seem like wanting to be rich is a bad thing. But if I'm rich, right, I can make sure my family's straight. I can bless other people, right? I could help feed the needy, right? I could help the less fortunate. That's buying happiness right there.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what you're doing. Because you're spending your money to put food on the table for someone who has to dumpster dive.
That's if you have the heart for it. And that's why I like that you say that, because speaking of heart and speaking God, knowing all these things, it's not for everybody.
It's not.
And we can end it right there. Like, being rich is not for anybody. It's not for everybody. Like, you got to have a certain level of passion. You got to have a certain level. Your mindset has to be a certain level and in a particular frame. Because if not, you're going to stay depressed. You're going to fall into anxiety. You're going to fall into all these things that is going to physically keep you bound from reaching there. Granted, you being physically bound might be a comfortable state for most people, where they have just enough to get by and they live comfortable. And granted,
there's nothing wrong with that.
And there's nothing wrong, but
nothing.
Once you shift your mindset to the point where that's not it for you and you want the best, that's when you know it's for you.
Of course. That's something, man, like, people, I don't know, bro. It's just me personally, like I said, bro, I'm different. Like, me personally, I look at it and I'm just like I work at the airport right now, like I told you. And I'm just like, I've seen people, like, I know people that have been there for 40 years. Like, there was one dude, he has his name written on the side of an airplane because he was with the company for 75 years.
Wow.
And I'm just like, I can't do that. I can't. Because this company, it's allowing me to pay my bills, sure, but it's not allowing me.
It's not fulfilling you.
It's not fulfilling
because
me.
it's not part of your calling. But
it's not.
Sometimes we have to understand. This is the thing that most people don't understand. Your calling and your occupation is two different things.
Of course.
Your occupation funds your calling, funds your purpose, funds your passion, so that
it's
can
stepping
be able
stone
to make room for you.
Stepping stone.
You have to understand. Yeah, granted, the word of God says, your gifts will make room for you, but you have to pour into it. You have to put in some form of work into it.
And that's why it's so essential to keep the right people around you, because the right people will keep you grounded.
And I'm glad I met you, man.
I'm glad I met you too.
I'm glad
you know what I'm saying? I'm glad I met you too. The right people will keep you grounded. The right people will drill that mindset in your head to the point where it's never going anywhere again.
Definitely.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's just it, bro. Like,
that's it, man. And I'm grateful for the gems. This won't be the last time.
Definitely,
you know
not.
it.
No, definitely not.
This won't be the last time.
It's so much. Like,
it's so much. It's so much. The only reason why I'm cutting short because the SD card running out. So that's
but that's the thing, because I get this from my mom. Like, I'll literally like jump from one topic to another. I get that from my mom.
You do it so smoothly too, and it's a lot of value too.
You know what I'm saying? But it's so many things in this podcast that I didn't get a chance to say. But we're gonna save it for part 2.
That's why it's not the first time. So
we're gonna save it for part 2. I'm looking forward to it.
At the end of the day, first and foremost, before we get off, how will people find you, man? Like, you and your marketing agency.
Yeah, so you can follow me on my I have actually all my social media is basically the same. So on Instagram, I'm at PrinceMC23. That's Prince_MC_23. I believe my YouTube and TikTok are the same without the underscores though. I believe I gotta double check on that. But yeah, I'm on Instagram. That's one thing. I will say I'm very, spotty when it comes to Instagram, like just content in general, because I'm not consistent, unfortunately. But I'm definitely gonna get back on that. Daily posts coming soon for sure. And like I said, bro, I really, like that's one thing people, because people say that I got wisdom and I'm smart for my age, right? That's not even me trying to brag, but like that's what people say about me, and my voice carries. Like, my voice can fill a room without me even realizing it. And when I talk, especially like the way, like when I
passion.
get serious and I'm passionate about whatever I'm talking about, people always say that I should, be a motivational speaker. So I try to pass these gems on the gram, on my TikTok, on my YouTube. I post shorts, right? Like I said, I'm definitely going to get back on the daily content grind for sure. And yeah, like I said, this definitely won't be the last time. I feel like it's so much more I could say, right? More like one thing when I was at Power Talks event, shout out David Power
Shout
Talk.
out David for real.
One thing that he said that hit me, it wasn't too many things at that event that I learned. Like I learned a few things, right? But the things that I did learn were powerful. The one thing, because one of the things that convinced me to open up about things that I've never really spoke about to people on this podcast particularly, is because when David spoke about his time in his life when he wanted to commit suicide, and I was like, and he was like, you have to use the events that you went through to inspire other people. And I was like, I never thought about it that way, right? I like that, and that's the thing too, because like I keep saying, I consider myself a very logical person, but sometimes I can be too logical, right? And this is one of these things, because when you say that, you emotionally connect with other people, right? You're not just spitting facts, right? You could spit facts and people connect with you off of that, but when you strike an emotional chord, right?
That's different, yeah.
That's a different connection, and they're going to want to keep listening. And that's why I analyzed, and I was like, that's why I like listening to Tate when he speaks, because he struck an emotional chord in me. Like, you're sitting there moping around about the things that happened to you, right? Use that. You went through all of that, right? People have done you dirty. People have betrayed you. People have done all these things. Like, you need to use that, right? Use what they did as fuel for you to get up there, to make something of yourself and make them regret what they did.
Definitely. Use it as fuel, man.
Use it as fuel, right? At the end of the day, accountability, absolute accountability, because you allowed it to happen to yourself. Don't allow it to happen again. Your girl left you. Don't allow it to happen again. Why did she leave you, right? Find out why she left you and make sure it doesn't happen again. And make sure that the next girl you get doesn't want to leave you.
Definitely, man.
Right?
Appreciate all
so, like I said, I can keep...
I
can keep rambling on.
He just went on again. You see that?
I can keep...
I love you, man.
Bro,
I love you, man.
Bro, I can keep rambling on. But
at the end of the day, hey, catch us again soon. But at the end of the day, my name is Olivia J. Darcis. I'm with my boy Musa. We're here helping you do the do to do life well. Peace. Wait, before you go, make sure you hit the subscribe button and check out the video that you think is the best for you. Or is it check out the video and hit the subscribe button? Man, you know what I'm trying to do. Peace.